Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakshaya Chakshurunnilitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Hare Krishna. So we will continue what Prabhupada has to share with all of us. This is a very important section. How it happens is any action we are doing. First is there is a trigger. Second is accessibility. Third is motivation. So based on these three things, we perform any action. It's not just trigger. Say if my phone is ringing, I wanted to pick up the phone, but if it is not accessible, then we may think, okay, if it is somewhere in the no somewhere in up in the room or somewhere in the purse with so many other items in the bag. And the third is like you saw a number which you don't want to talk to him, then we may not want to receive that phone. And then there is also investment and ego. So there are five factors when we are performing any action. And this is actually, of all the things, the last factor, the ego, is actually what is the most important thing. And here, when we are reading, what we are trying to change, we are trying to change our ego. This is the most. Outside, when they give all these seminars and all, they understand these four factors, but they don't understand the fifth factor, which is ego, which we understand because we are spiritual, practicing on the spiritual path. What we are trying to change when we get initiation from a guru, we are trying to change the ego. So the four things I'll write for you, the five things actually, which makes any action happen. So first one is the trigger. Say any like I saw a nice ice cream. Oh, so there is a trigger. So I saw an ice cream. Then there is accessibility. So accessibility is say it is there in my fridge. I saw an advertisement of a ice cream ad, and immediately in my fridge ice cream is there. I'll be motivated. It's very easy. I just go. But I don't have an ice cream with me. Then I have to go to the shop, take my vehicle, car, drive all the way, purchase and come, then bring home, offer, then eat. Then I will think, okay, let it be. And so then this is motivation. So the what motivates whether to do or not. So if it accessibility is less, then the motivation is also there. Okay, if it is not prasadam, we don't know whether they put it something in that or not. So maybe we may not be motivated to do certain things. And then investment and ego. So these two things are also there, which will make us do an action. Like say when it comes to social networking, what is the important thing they do? They make us invest in that. Like say I'm watching some social media, YouTube and all. That is okay. That is some level of addictions are there. But if I made my own videos, my own photos I uploaded, that means I invested in it. I get more hooked. And if people like it or dislike it, they make a comment on it, then it will make me more and more addicted to it. So investment is another thing. And the most important thing is this ego part. This is actually the main factor that makes us what I think I am. If I have a very strong desire to enjoy in this material world, then all these things will immediately affect. But if I desire to enjoy is not there, then all these things will not have much effect. So, what we have to do, we have to always see our motivations and our ego to protect ourselves. Like, say, if somebody is feeling very lonely, if he is feeling some sort of stress, or he is, then what happens here? People get addicted. So trigger is that they have alcohol, cigarettes, and so many other things. They go to television, internet. All these things actually causes a person addicted to all these things, or any of the other which are not some drugs or anything. Why? Because he feels there is some sort of emptiness in the heart, some loneliness, some stress, because they don't have very deep connections. Nowadays, why these addictions are increasing so much? Because of one reason, because people are not very closely connected to each other in terms of relationship. They may live geographically at different places, but still they are connected with heart in previous ages. But now there is no much connections because people are there in their own world with their own mobile. They may be talking to each other, messaging, but heart connection is not there. That investment is not happening on a very physical level. That is the reason they feel very lonely, and then they get then to fulfill that need, then they go for all this internet, TV, drugs, and some games and movies, and all these things are because of this one reason, or overeating. This is because of the emptiness in the heart. And then all these things work. Then any habit to happen or any addiction to happen, there is trigger, accessibility, motivation, investment. And we have to work on especially these things. Our loneliness should be removed. Like many what happens is, when a person is having some bad habits, this is the saying, when in the youth, a boy is going here there and doing so many things, then they say, oh, get him married. Why? What happens? Then he gets connected to somebody, and know that connection will help us. His heart is little satisfied. Heart is satisfied, then he will not need any of these things. Only when heart is not satisfied, then we will go for all these things which are not needed for us. And why I am telling is, this ego part is very important where we are to work. If you want to make spiritual progress, because any action, even it comes to spiritual activities also. And this is applicable for spiritual activities also. We should have proper motivations. We should have easy accessibility. Our beadbag should be, as soon as we wake up, it should be just near us or all the time with us. Why we hang the beadbag in the neck is we want to have accessibility so much. And motivation should be very clear. We should be jnana karma dhanavrita motivations. And then the investment, yeah, like Ambrish Pro, he says that he's the great grandson of Fraud. Now, what happens is, he says that all my family members, they're very fabulously rich. They invested different places. If you invest there, your heart goes there. So Ambrish Pro said, I invested in Krishna. That's why my heart is with Krishna. Wherever we invested, we start thinking about that more. So better we invest our time with Krishna, invest our money, save some money and give it to Krishna. In that way, it will be helpful because I invested there. I always think about it. And the most important thing, I am identifying with myself with Guru and Krishna and Vaishnavas. This identity is what makes so much difference in life. The identity, what I am identifying with. If I am identifying myself with my family and relatives, my actions will be motivated like that. But if I am identifying myself with Vaishnavas, then I am a Vaishnava. Say there is one famous philosopher. He says that as long as I thought I want to be a vegetarian, it was becoming very difficult. But one day when I thought I am a vegetarian, then it became easy because he already identified I'm a vegetarian. So to be a vegetarian became easy. But I thought, no, I had to become vegetarian. I had to become. I am something else. I am trying to become. So my ego is something else, but I am trying to act something else. So it won't work. But your ego is only I am servant. Then it is easy to serve. Oh, you are servant. Already you have Das, you got a title, you got a name from your Guru Maharaj as the Das, Krishna Das or Devi Dasi. You already have an ego where you are identifying yourself as a servant, then it is easy to continue the activity. This is very important for us that we start having an identity as a servant of Guru and Krishna. Then the actions are very easy. We don't do any other action other than this. It's like that. And here also we see that proportionally the conditioned soul has to take direct instructions from the spiritual master, and thus he gradually becomes enlightened to the path of Krishna consciousness. So the seed of Krishna consciousness is sown within the heart of conditioned soul, and when one hears instructions from the spiritual master, the seed fructifies and one life becomes blissful. So here the spiritual master, that is actually the connection. So we invest with our spiritual master, we give our time, energy, money to spiritual master. We identify the ego is with spiritual master, investment is spiritual master, motivation is to please spiritual master, and we should regularly hear from spiritual master. We see his photo, we hear his voice, his kirtan, his lectures. That should be the trigger, accessibility, motivation, investment, ego, all with spiritual master only. And then immediately we make so much progress. If we don't have, then we are doing something wrong. Our investment mode ego is not with spiritual master, then it will obviously with our family, relatives, friends, and our own self, our house, career, which is anyway going to be doomed. Why to waste our time in all these things? Better to invest in the spiritual master. So that is the point. And there here, deha anya deha vivare jata raginaashraga विन्मूर्तकूप पतितो वृषतप्ता देहः इच्छन् इतो इच्छन् इतो विवशितं गणयं स्वमासान् निर्वासयेत् कृपणाधीर् भगवन् कदानु. Fall into the pool of blood, stool, and urine within the abdomen of his mother, his own body, scorched by mother's gastric fire, the embodied soul, anxious to get out of, counts his months and prays, O my Lord, when shall I, a wretched soul, be released from this confinement? So, uh, so this is always there for us that we continue to do things which are very important for us, and the living entity is praying, when shall I, a virtual soul, be released from this confinement? And this is should be the prayer all the time for us. We want to get out of this clutches of material existence. And that should be a motivation, and it is correct motivation to get out of this. Two reasons. One is, once, of course, moksha lagutagrit, when we start developing a relation with Krishna, then we may not be interested in to get out also. We are more happy serving Krishna. So, but okay, there is one question. As we have love towards our family, can't we have same love and attachment to our spiritual master? Then it will be easy, na Prabhu. Otherwise, in starting stage, it is difficult to be detached and attached only to Guru. Attachment to family members and attachment to Guru is completely different. This is material attachment, that is spiritual attachment. We cannot give up attachment to family, but we can develop attachment to Guru. And it has a spiritual benefit. Only if the family members are like very nice devotees and attachment is not very detrimental. But otherwise, it is not the same. One is elevating, one is degrading. That's why Kunti Maharani is praying. No, shiver my attachments too. Vrishnis and Pandus. And why she is telling, even though they are all devotees only, all Vrishnis are all exalted devotees, all Pandavas are all exalted devotees of Pandavas. But still she is saying, because that is the cause of our duality in this material world. In this material world, if I am attached to like my family, then naturally there is an envy for others. That's why when Sudhir Goswami starts his teaching to Parikshit Maharaj, he says that no, that the Griheshu Grahamedina. So the why he is telling that the envious householders, Nidra Hete Naktam Vyavayena Chavavayaha, Divacharti Haya Rajan Kutumba Bharanenava. Where Prabhupada is writing envious householder, because it is a naturally it happens that when I'm attached to something, when I say this is mine, then automatically that mentality of separatism comes. This is theirs. My car is small, their car is big. My house is small, there is big. So this automatically comes. So it is not possible to be completely neutral. We can be affectionate. Attachment is something different. Attachment comes in passion. Affection is in goodness. So there is a quite a lot of difference in it. And with spiritual master, it's even though now we may be materially attached, my spiritual master, but still it is at making progress only because we want to do something which pleases him. In that way, we make spiritual progress. We will not be able to give up our attachment to family, but that is not a problem. Only thing is we have to work on developing attachment to spiritual master, invest in him, and what I told, now these things, we should invest in our spiritual master. That means give your time, give your energy, give your money to spiritual master, invest your time and energy to spiritual master. Whole life we should give out spiritual master. My energy and time is going to the company where I am working. 20, 30 years I give for the company and the boss who is ungrateful person. Even if he's grateful also he cannot do anything to it. So if the same investment I do for Guru, if I give that 20, 30 years in the service of Guru, can you imagine what a benefit we get? That is the thing. I am giving my whole life and energy to family and I am giving my energy to spiritual master. There is so much difference. Here it's a material thing. By investing in the family, giving my energy and time to family, I only get material benefit. I get some love and affection for my family members. I will not make any spiritual advancement. But the same time and energy I give for spiritual master, instead of to the boss, to the family, to all this family, society and all, only one person who can save us, he can give us spiritual knowledge. Divyagyan Hriday Prakashito, Chakshudan Diloje, Janme Janme Prabhase. So that person is going to make me free from the clutches of material existence. Nobody is there in this world who is our real well-wisher other than spiritual master. So why I should not invest my time, energy, all my resources for the pleasure of spiritual master instead of wasting my time on all these petty things which I have done many, many lifetimes. So that is the main difference. These people cannot be, that's why they are called fallible soldiers. And fifth canto Bhagavatam describes the friends, relatives, and all like they are like sharks. Why it is called sharks? Because it is taking our vital energies. That's the main reason. Yeah. Where you are investing, what you get from it. So we fortunately many of them unfortunately we have to work for the companies to the boss. And I feel so like when I work for a short time, I was very miserable. I said I don't want to work from him. I didn't like him. I thought he's very proud, he's very arrogant. I don't want to work from him. But when I came to ISKCON and I was serving Prabhupada, I thought, okay, for him we can work. We can put all our energy, time, and everything we can work. We are working for our senses. The senses are also ungrateful, no matter how much you serve eyes, ears, nose. And then we are working for the so called masters of this world who are also ungrateful, or even they cannot do anything much, even if they are not ungrateful. But what is the point? It's a waste. Yeah. And then Prabhupada's writing, very nice purport. The precarious condition of the living entity within the womb of his mother is described here. On one side of where the child is floating, is the heat of gastric fire, and other side are urine, stool, blood, and discharges. After 7 months, the child who has regained his consciousness feels the horrible condition of material existence and prays to the Lord. Continuing the counting the months until his release, he becomes greatly anxious to get out of the confinement because he's conscious, so he knows that he's suffering. If he's not conscious, then it's okay. It's some lump of flesh staying in the part of a stomach of a human. It does not make any difference. But it is conscious, then we want some freedom. So, like if you are kept at some part where we are not having any access to open up or anything, it is really very painful. The so-called civilized man does not take account of this horrible condition of life, and sometimes for the purpose of sense gratification, he tries to kill the child by methods of uh, contraceptions or abortions. Unserious about horrible conditions in the womb, such persons continue in materialism, grossly misusing the chance of human form of life. A child, no, poor fellow, he is helpless in the womb, and suddenly some chemical comes and burns him away, and he dies a very horrible death. He is already in a confinement, very closed, and sometimes the prisoners are kept in some places where they cannot even sit also. The place is so, you can only stand. You cannot, maybe best you can sit, but you cannot even lay down fully. They try to punish them very severely like this. And that's actually what is in the womb. You cannot move your limbs, you cannot do anything. And then it's a very horrible situation. I am conscious, that's why it becomes more painful. If you're unconscious, that's a different thing. The child is conscious and he's very suffering very miserably. Of course, we all went through that. And sometimes we may think, okay, this life is not anyway good. Next life I'll enjoy. But before enjoying, there is a payment. You have to go into the womb of mother. This is a very horrible situation. For so many months in that situation, we will count every second, not even minutes. Every second we count, okay, this minute. And interestingly, the time has this nature. If the if we are going through some painful situation, time goes very slow. You have observed, like we are waiting for somebody, and then we see that one hour for one of every, it takes 5 minutes. 1 hour to cross, it takes, sorry, 5 minutes will pass in 1 hour. You see, I'm waiting from 1 hour, and the the needles and the watch are going only 5 minutes. And when we go through some painful situations, somebody who went through some depression or anything, for them every second is like one hour. Pain is like gopis are saying yugayatam nimishena. Their pain is so intense that for them one second is like 12 years or more. And it is said that they went through so much pain. The Kalakuta poison and the fire at the core of the universe, which is like great fire, which burns the universe at the time of dissolution, and the Kalakuta poison, which causes great pain. Even they felt ashamed that we cannot give so much pain, uh, but the gopis are experiencing so much pain than what we can give to any living entities because of their separation and love from, because of their separation from Krishna, because their intense love. The point is, when we go through pain, then it is more difficult. Every second goes like years and years and years, and we have to stay in the womb of mother for such a long time. Can you imagine? It's so there is some hope for some people that no, okay, this life anyway didn't work. Next life we'll try. You know? Anyway, after people cross 40s and 50s, then they know that okay, I wasted so much of my life. I couldn't enjoy properly. I'll come back and I'll enjoy. And they're waiting when I complete my remaining 20-30 years, and then I will die and I'll enjoy nicely. But there is another problem in between. So nothing is free in this world. The word Kripanadhi is significant in this verse. Dhi means intelligence and Kripana means miserly. Conditional life is for persons who are miserly intelligence or who do not properly utilize their intelligence. In the human form of life, the intelligence is developed, and one has to utilize that developed intelligence to get out of the cycle of birth and death. One who does not do so is a miser. Just like a person who has immense wealth but does not utilize it, keeping it simply to see. A person who does not actually utilize his human intelligence to get out of the clutches of Maya, the cycle and birth, is accepted as miserly. So this is an unfortunate situation for most of. They are intelligent, but what we can do? I heard Elon Musk can do 10 activities at a time, but he cannot do one activity, that is chanting the holy name of the Lord and get out of this metal world. So what is the point? No, you can do 10 activities at a time simultaneously, multitasking, but you cannot do one activity which will help us to get out. The exact opposite of miserly is Udhara, very magnanimous. A Brahmana is called Udhara because he utilizes his human intelligence for spiritual realization. He uses that intelligence to preach Krishna consciousness for the benefit of public, and therefore he is magnanimous. एनेदृशीं गतिमसौ दशमासयैष पुरुतेयेन भवादृशेन सेनैव तस्येतु कृतेन स दीननाथ को नाम तत्प्रीति विजनाञ्जलिमस्य कुर्यात्. My dear Lord, by your causeless mercy, I am awakened to consciousness. Although I am only 10 months old, for this causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the friend of all fallen souls, there is no way to express my gratitude but to pray with folded hands. To come to consciousness is also something very important. Of course, here this living entity is something special. Not everybody become conscious. If we are conscious, then what happens? We want to become Krishna conscious, or that we should be conscious of what is happening around. Then, like people are very unconscious, they live an unconscious life. They're just programmed. They're like robots. They're programmed to do particular thing and they continue doing it whole life. They are not at all conscious. Why? What? They only know how to eat, how to enjoy, how to have some entertainment, and then just some so-called their created responsibilities, and they don't finish their life. But they don't become conscious. And why I should do this question? People don't have answers. Initially, when we are small children, we ask this question, why, and many of the times we don't get answers. Then we stop asking. We also start living like everybody. People know how, but they don't know why. Like uh, people, the scientists, they can give the answers, this phenomena, that phenomena, but why? Because Krishna wanted like that. They don't know these answers. They people like why I should do certain activities, why I should do. They say no, I should do in this way only. No. And people, when we go to temple, we are told to do parikrama, we are told to offer agarbatti. They don't do it, parents. They didn't tell why we should do it. And they don't know that. That, that when we come to Krishna consciousness, we get the answer why. Because Krishna wanted. So it's very simple. Why the sky is blue? And scientists will tell, oh, this phenomena, that phenomena. But why? They cannot tell that answer because Krishna wanted. That is a very simple answer. Of all the phenomena, everything that are happening, and the rain is coming like this, the child is grown like this, and the process of this process, that process, all the things scientists can explain. They cannot explain only one answer is why. That is a problem. And here he's telling we become conscious, then we start asking why. And that will be answered only when we come to proper authority. Here Prabhupada is writing, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, intelligence and forgetfulness are both supplied by the super soul sitting with the individual soul within the body. When he sees that a conditioned soul is very serious about getting out of the clutches of material influence, the Supreme Lord gives intelligence internally as super soul and externally as spiritual master or as an incarnation of personality of Godhead. He helps by speaking instructions such as Bhagavad Gita. The Lord is always seeking the opportunity to reclaim the fallen souls to his abode, the kingdom of God. We should always feel very much obliged to the personality of Godhead, for he is always anxious to bring us into the happy condition of eternal life. There is no sufficient means to repay the personality of Godhead for his act of benediction. Therefore, we can simply feel gratitude and pray to the Lord with folded hands. This prayer of the child in the womb may be questioned by some atheistic people. How can a child pray in such a nice way in the womb of his mother? Everything is possible by the grace of Lord. The child is put into such a precarious condition, externally, but internally he is the same, and the Lord is there. By the transcendental energy of Lord, everything is possible. Now, very important thing is only one thing we have in our life is we can pray. Nothing can be done. Living entity, everything is done by material nature. Everything is done by the supervision of Lord. We don't have anything to do. We don't have any opportunity. Only one thing we do is we can pray. That is the only thing we have in our hand. And if you utilize that one facility which Lord gave us to pray to Him, we are considered successful. We learn how to pray. And here the same thing is done. The Lord is always seeking opportunity to reclaim the fallen souls to his abode, the kingdom of God. We, we should always feel very much obliged. So this is the point here. The Lord is always seeking opportunity to reclaim the fallen souls to his abode, the kingdom of God. We should always feel very much obliged to the personality of Godhead, for he is always anxious to bring us into a happy condition of eternal life. There is no sufficient means to repay the personality of Godhead for his acts of benediction. Therefore, we can simply feel gratitude and pray to the Lord with folded hands. That's all. And this is the only thing, and this is our only weapon and strength which we should go ahead. If we are not praying, there is a problem for us. The problem is where? The problem is with our mental system, our ego, our pride, and lack of humility, and all these things, lack of gratitude. That is the only reason why we are not able to pray. Somebody is praying, he is very fortunate. And His Holiness Radhanand Maharaj, one devotee said, Maharaj, I am a writer. And Maharaj says, I am a prayer. Maharaj says, I am continuously praying. And Prabhupada also was doing same thing. And Jalduta is writing the prayer. And one time devotees, Prabhupada asked, what is the difference between you and me? Then all devotees said, Prabhupada, you are a pure devotee, this, that, and all. And then Prabhupada said, no, you will all be, I will be never be affected by Maya. You are, there is every possibility that you get affected by Maya, but for Maya will never touch me. Everybody said, Jai Prabhupada. And after that, Prabhupada goes to the altar and he spent long time in front of deities. And devotee asked, Prabhupada, what are you doing? Prabhupada said, I am praying to Krishna that I should not be affected by Maya. And devotee asked, Prabhupada, but you said you will never be affected by Maya. Prabhupada said, yes, because I pray, that's why I am not getting affected. So we should also pray to Krishna and we say, oh no, please help me get out of this Maya. Without praying to Krishna to get out of Maya, we cannot come out only. And unfortunately, the problem is we we think that we are in a normal state only. That is another problem. We think I am normal. So that is the question why I should pray so intensely to Krishna. Everything is fine with me. Nothing is fine actually. We are kept in a prison. This body is a very humiliating situation. We don't feel it. We are very proud that I got this body. Sometimes Some devotees call and say, Prabhuji, why did I get this? Especially after hearing some Matajis, they call and say, this female body is not very good. Actually, not female body, even male body is not very good because this metal body is not good only. But we don't understand. We feel it's fine, okay. I'm very famous person in this area and people appreciate me as a very good devotee or a very good professional. But it is all humiliating situation. It does not make any much difference. So we have to pray that we want to come out of this situation. Otherwise, it's very Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, beggar series. Very interesting reflections of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. Very nice books. It's all prayers only. Very nice prayers. And whole chanting is prayer. Whole chanting every day we do 2 hours we pray to Krishna and to help us to come out of these clutches of material existence. And here in the womb also a fortunate devotee is praying. And he says, Pashyat ayam dishnaya nanu sapta vad vadhair शारीरिके धमशरीर्य अप्रह स्वदेहा यत्सर्षयास्मितम् अहं पुरुषं पुराणं पश्ये बहिर्हृदि च चैत्यम् इव प्रतीतम्. The living entity is another type of the living entity in another type of body sees only by instinct. He knows only the agreeable and disagreeable sense perception of that particular body. But I have a body in which I can control my senses and can understand my destination. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whom I have been blessed with this body, and by whose grace I can see within and without. So this is a very important thing. There are conditional reflexes and unconditional reflexes. I'll try to explain what here this living entity is explaining. So for some living entities, it is unconditional reflexes. And there is conditional. So unconditional reflexes are breathing, digestion, and so many other things. Even the sexual reflexes are also unconditional reflexes. We just do it. We are not conscious. When I am breathing, I am not conscious about my breathing except when I am doing pranayama or digestion is happening or certain functions in the body which happens on their own without our knowledge. This is called unconditional reflexes. And then there are something called conditional reflexes. These conditional reflexes are which we train ourselves to become. And after that, this becomes unconditional. But initially, we have this opportunity to change ourselves. Like, say, for more consciousness is evolved, more we come to a state of conditional reflexes. So, for animals, it's all lower species, they're all unconditional reflexes only. For animals, birds, and all, they don't have any option to change. They're already programmed like that. They're born with that programming. But when it comes to human beings, we have that freedom to train ourselves. We don't have unconditional like from very beginning how to go to the toilet. We need to be learned from childhood only. All the things, how to eat, how to do certain activities. We have more freedom to work on the reflexes. And this is actually what helps us to, there is an opportunity to change. Opportunity to change. Now, what happens is when a person is getting addicted to certain things, then he loses this conditional reflexes. So this is actually addictions. So addictions will stop us doing conditional reflex. That means we cannot change. We are programmed to do it. He wakes up in the morning, he want at any cost he has to drink a tea. Even now he, because what happened, it became unconditional reflexes. That is the problem. And all these addictions is now we are all meant for freedom. All spiritual practice is meant for freedom. Freedom what? Internal freedom. We all need internal freedom. But what is happening? And that conditional reflexes is actually internal freedom. We have the choice to make. And slowly say like waking up early morning. We want to wake up early morning, then we start training ourselves. Then what happens? It becomes unconditional. So automatically we wake up early morning. So we have an opportunity to train. But what happens is addictions and all will not allow us to become. So more a living entity is growing in his consciousness, more he has conditional reflexes, more he can train himself. Like for a cat or a dog or a cow, some level of training can be done. But most of the thing they are unconditional and they cannot be trained. So this is what here the living entity is telling, that living entity is another type of see only instinct. He knows only the agreeable and disagreeable sense perception of that part. But I have a body in which I can control my senses and can understand my destination. So we have this opportunity in human body. If we become unconditional reflexes, then we are again given the animal body. Or you are given an opportunity to change. You are just going with your own addictions and continuing like that, then you end up in animal body because you don't deserve it. You are given the freedom to change and to know what will be my destination. So here the same thing. Control my senses and can understand my destination. This is very freedom is what we need, but not external freedom, internal freedom. That means I can control my senses. I can tell my eyes only this much you should see. You cannot see certain things. I should listen to us. If eyes are not listening and going to the internet again and again, to the mobile, to the social media, to the games, that means I am becoming unconditional. But then I don't deserve a human body. Same thing with the ears. I am not supposed to hear certain things. But my conditioning is I am going back. I am making it unconditional. This is the problem. From childhood only we try to teach the children. Don't do this, don't do this. Try to train them. And after that now people they feel unconditional reflexes is good for them and they continue like that. That is called addictions. Any questions on this? Okay, we'll just read the purport. Very huge purport. The evolutionary process of different types of body is something like that of fructifying flower. Just as there are different stages in the growth of a flower, the bud stage, the blooming stage, and the full-fledged grown-up stage of aroma and beauty. Similarly, there are 84 lakh species of bodies in gradual evolution, and there is systematic progress from the lower species of life to higher. The human form of life is supposed to be the highest and it offers consciousness for getting out of the clutches of birth and death. The fortunate child in the womb of his mother realizes his superior position and is therefore distinguished from other bodies. Animals in bodies lower than that of human beings are conscious only as far as their bodily distress and happiness are concerned. They cannot think more than their bodily necessities of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So this is the point. So they live in an unconditional reflex. It's already programmed. But in human form of life, by the grace of Lord, the consciousness is developed that a man can elevate his exceptional position and thus realize the self and the supreme Lord. So that is the main difference. The word Bhama Shariri means that we have a body in which we can control the senses and mind. The completion of materialistic life is due to an uncontrolled mind and uncontrolled senses. One should feel grateful to the Supreme Personality of Godhead for having obtained such a nice human form of body, and one should properly utilize it. The distinction between an animal and a man is that animal cannot control himself and has no sense of decency, whereas human being has a sense of decency and can control himself. So we have this conditional reflex aspect which Lord gave us. We can train ourselves. Everything we have to learn by, we can learn in a particular way only. Means everything can be programmed in human beings. That opportunity is there for me. Animals don't have, they're already programmed. You are seeing the difference. Animal already programmed. A cow cannot behave like a dog. A dog cannot behave like a cow. Human being can behave like a cow, like a dog, like an animal. Human being can behave like animals also, demigods also. We can be more degraded than a dog also. We can be more elevated than a demigod also. So we have opportunity from all species. Anything we can become. Uh, like no, Bhakti Maharaj is saying, "Oh, this person is behaving like a donkey. He's working like a donkey." Maharaj said, "No, no, no. It's an insult. We should not say he's working like a donkey because even donkey won't work like that. He's working more worse than donkey." So you can be sometimes more degraded than animal also. That means that facility is given to go up and down. If this controlling power is not exhibited by human beings, then there is no better than an animal. See, that's the point. So we have this ability. So the distinction between an animal and a man is that an animal cannot control himself and has no sense of decency. Whereas the human being has a sense of decency and can control himself. If this control power is not exhibited by human being, then he is no better than an animal. By controlling the senses or by the process of yoga regulation, one can understand the position of his self, the super soul, the word, and the interrelation. Everything is possible by controlling the senses. Otherwise, we are no better than animals, sometimes lower than animals. You're understanding it. So, this is the real self realization by means of controlling the senses is explained here. One should try to see the supreme personality of Godhead and one's own self also. To think oneself the same as Supreme Lord is not self relation. Here it is clearly explained that the Supreme Lord is Anadi or Purusha, Purna. So, Anadi Radhir Govinda. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Mama Aishva, Mamai Vamsha. Both the living entities and the Supreme Lord are unborn. So, this is Aham Sarvasya Prabhu. Lord is the Supreme. So, Ham Vasannapi विभो बहुदुःखवासं गर्भाननि जगंसि बहिरण्डकूपे यत्रोपयातम् उपस्पृष्टिदेव माया मिथ्यामतिर्यदनु स्मृतिश्चक्रमेते. Therefore, my Lord, although I am living in a terrible condition, I do not wish to depart from my mother's abdomen to fall again into the blind well of materialistic life. Your external analogy called Daiva Maya at once captures the newly born child and immediately false identification, which is the beginning of the cycle of continual birth and death begins. What happens is as soon as we come out, they give us some name that starts with our false ego, and everybody calls you with certain name. We think, oh, you are this, you are this, you are this, and then we start identifying it very happily. And in childhood, if you remember, in all the books we write our name. First thing we learn is how to write our name. And all the notebooks here, back, front, everywhere we are writing our name because we identify with it. And somebody calls our name, it is so pleasing. That is where the false ego starts. And then they say you are a boy, you are a girl, and then further such things come. All the ego starts manifesting. You belong to certain religion, certain family, and then the child is very happy. As long as the child is within the womb of his mother, he is in a very precarious and horrible condition of life. But the benefit is that he revives pure consciousness of his relation with the Supreme Lord and plays for deliverance because there is no identity. You are just in the womb of mother. No name, no place, no friends, relatives, no identity only. So you have only one identity. Oh, I am servant of Lord. But once he is outside the abdomen, when the child is born, Maya or illusion is so strong that he immediately overpours into the consideration, considering his body to be his self. Maya means illusion or that which is not, that is which is actually not. In the material world, everyone is identifying with this his body. This false egoistic consciousness of I am this body. At once develops after the child comes out of the womb. The mother and relatives are awaiting the child, and as soon as he is born, the mother feeds him, and everyone takes care of him. The living entity soon forgets his position and becomes entangled in bodily relationship. The entire material existence is an entanglement in this bodily conception of life. Real knowledge means to develop the consciousness of I am not this body. I am spirit soul, an eternal part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Real knowledge entitles renunciation or non acceptance of this body as the self. But this is the situation. All of us we get nicely identified with the body, and everybody, no, everybody cheats us in this way, in this world, by making us identify with the body very strongly. Yo, you are so good, you are bad, you are this, you are this. And we start identifying with, oh, this boy is so cute. They'll happily help us to identify with the body. By the influence of Maya, the external energy, one forgets everything after birth. Therefore, the child is praying that he prefers to remain within the womb rather than come out. It is said that Sukadeva Goswami, on this consideration, remained for 16 years within the womb of his mother. He don't want to come out. He thought, oh, this is all Maya. He did not want to be entangled in false bodily identification. After cultivating such knowledge within the womb of his mother, he came out at the end of 16 years and immediately left home so that he might not be captured by influence of Maya. Because all the people, they cheat us. They make us identify with the body. And we start identifying so strongly because of the bad association which we have around. And everybody got like that only. What can be done? The influence of Maya is also explained in Bhagavad Gita as insurmountable. But insurmountable Maya can be overcome simply by Krishna conscious. That is also confirmed in Mamivaye prapadyante Maya metantarante. Whoever surrenders unto the lotus feet of Krishna can get out of the false conception of life. By the influence of Maya only, one forgets his eternal relationship with Krishna and identifies himself with his body and the byproducts of body, namely wife, children, society, friendship, and love. Thus, he becomes a victim of influence of mind, his materialistic life. See, this is byproducts. I already got this cheating, and I cheat others also. When the child is born again, I am cheating the child. So this is all Maya. See, one forgets his eternal relation with Krishna, identifies his body and the byproducts of the body. What are the byproducts? Wife, children, society, friendship, love. Thus, he becomes a victim of influence of Maya, and his materialistic life of continual birth and death becomes still more strengthened. Sorry, stringent. So, yeah. Any questions, comments? Thank you very much. We'll meet Monday. And please forgive if you got offended by any of my words. It's just repeating Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.